Welcome back, everyone. It's good to be here with you all again. As you know, this channel is all about sharing stories, finding hope, and lifting each other up. In our last video, I opened up about something deeply personal, my own struggles with depression. It was tough to share, but the response was incredible. So many of you reached out, sharing your own stories and offering support. It made me realize just how important it is to talk about these things, to break the silence and let each other know we're not alone. That's why I wanted to continue the conversation today. In this video, we're going deeper into my journey. We're talking about what it took to break free from depression and find my way back to happiness. It wasn't easy, but let me tell you, it was so worth it. This isn't just about recovering from a dark place, it's about rediscovering the light within. It's about finding hope when you feel hopeless, strength when you feel weak, and joy when you feel lost. It's about realizing that even in the darkest of times, there's always a way forward. So if you're ready to embark on this journey with me, buckle up. We're about to dive into the heart of healing, the power of resilience, and the incredible beauty of finding yourself again. Let's do this. For years, I felt lost in a fog of despair. Depression had its grip on me, whispering lies that I was worthless, that things would never get better. It was like carrying a weight on my shoulders, one that grew heavier with each passing day. The loss of my mother, the constant pressure to succeed, the fear of failure. It all became too much to bear. I tried to push through it, to pretend everything was okay. But the truth was, I was falling apart inside. I isolated myself from friends and family, convinced that I was burdening them with my problems. I put on a brave face for the world, but behind closed doors I was crumbling. Then one day, everything changed. I hit rock bottom. I realized I couldn't keep living like this, trapped in a cycle of pain and despair. I needed help, and I needed it desperately. That realization, as terrifying as it was, turned out to be the turning point in my journey. It was the moment I finally admitted to myself that I couldn't do this alone. It was the moment I decided to fight for my life. Admitting I needed help was the first step, but it was only the beginning. I knew I had a long road ahead of me, but I was determined to heal. I was determined to find my way back to the light. The next step was finding the right support. For me, that meant seeking professional help. Therapy provided a safe space for me to unpack my emotions, to confront my demons, and to start rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy to open up, to be vulnerable with a stranger. But my therapist wasn't a stranger for long. She became a guide, a mentor, a beacon of hope in my darkest hours. She helped me understand that my thoughts weren't facts, that my feelings were valid, and that I had the power to change my story. With her guidance, I began to challenge the negative beliefs that were holding me back. I started to see myself not as a failure, but as a survivor. I learned that my past didn't define my future, and that I had the strength within me to create a life filled with joy, purpose, and meaning. Admitting I needed help felt like admitting defeat, like I had failed some invisible test of strength. I'd always prided myself on being independent, on handling my problems on my own. Asking for help felt like a sign of weakness, a betrayal of the person I thought I was supposed to be. So I stayed silent. I carried the weight of my depression alone, afraid to share my burden with anyone. I told myself that others wouldn't understand, that they had their own problems to deal with. I was afraid of judgment, of pity, of being seen as broken. But the weight of silence was suffocating. The more I tried to hide my pain, the heavier it became. It seeped into every aspect of my life, poisoning my relationships, stealing my joy, and extinguishing my hope. The truth is, silence doesn't make us strong. It isolates us, it suffocates us, it keeps us trapped in our pain. Breaking free from depression meant breaking free from the silence that had held me captive for so long. It was time to find my voice. Finding my voice wasn't easy. It started with a whisper, a hesitant plea for help in the darkness. I reached out to a trusted friend, someone I knew would listen without judgment. Sharing my story with her, even just a piece of it, felt like lifting 1,000 pounds off my chest. Her response surprised me. It wasn't pity or judgment I saw in her eyes, but understanding. She shared her own struggles, reminding me that I wasn't alone in my pain. She didn't try to fix me or offer unsolicited advice. She simply listened with an open heart and a compassionate ear. That conversation was a turning point. It gave me the courage to open up to others, to seek professional help, to finally start talking about what I had been carrying in silence for so long. Finding my voice wasn't about shouting from the rooftops, it was about whispering my truth to those who cared, to those who could offer support and understanding. It was about acknowledging my pain, my struggles, and my need for help. Asking for help is an act of courage. It requires us to be vulnerable, to admit that we don't have all the answers, to trust that others will be there for us. It goes against everything we're taught about being strong and independent. But the truth is, true strength lies in knowing when to ask for help. It took me a long time to realize that asking for help wasn't a sign of weakness but a sign of strength. It meant acknowledging my limitations, recognizing that I couldn't do this alone, and being willing to accept support. Reaching out for help wasn't easy, but it was the best decision I ever made. It connected me with people who understood my pain, who offered guidance and support, and who helped me find my way back to the light. If you're struggling in silence, please know that you don't have to. There is no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's the bravest thing you can do. It's the first step towards healing, towards rediscovering your strength, and towards reclaiming your life. Walking into the therapist's office for the first time felt like stepping into the unknown. The room itself was calming, painted in soft, neutral tones. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating a vase filled with fresh flowers on the coffee table. Yet my heart pounded in my chest, a drumbeat of anxiety against my ribs. I remember sinking into the plush armchair, the silence amplifying the whirlwind of thoughts in my head. What was I supposed to say? How could I possibly articulate the tangled mess of emotions I carried inside? Would this stranger sitting across from me, with her kind eyes and gentle smile, truly understand the depths of my pain? As I began to speak, my voice trembled, each word a monumental effort. But as I shared my story, the weight on my chest began to lighten. My therapist listened with unwavering attention, her gaze steady and reassuring. She didn't interrupt or judge, she simply created a space for me to be heard, to be seen, to be understood. In that room, I wasn't just a diagnosis or a case study, I was a human being, worthy of compassion and care. With each session, the therapist's office transformed from a symbol of fear into a sanctuary of healing. It was the place where I began to dismantle the walls I had built around my heart and let the light back in. Therapy became a journey of self-discovery, a process of peeling back the layers of pain and uncovering the strength that lay beneath. It was like unpacking an old, heavy suitcase, one filled with memories both cherished and painful. Each session, we would carefully sift through the contents, examining the experiences that had shaped my life. We explored my childhood, uncovering the roots of my negative self-beliefs. We talked about my relationships, identifying patterns of behavior that were no longer serving me. We delved into my fears, bringing them out of the shadows and into the light of awareness. It wasn't always easy. There were tears, moments of frustration, and days when I felt like I was taking one step forward and two steps back. But my therapist never gave up on me. She held space for my pain, gently guiding me through the darkness with empathy and understanding. With her support, I began to understand that my thoughts and feelings, no matter how overwhelming, were valid. I learned that I wasn't broken or damaged. I was simply human, doing the best I could with the tools I had at the time. Therapy wasn't just about talking about my problems, it was about actively challenging the negative thoughts and beliefs that were keeping me stuck. My therapist introduced me to the power of cognitive behavioral therapy, a type of therapy that focuses on identifying and changing unhelpful thinking patterns. I learned to recognize my own negative self-talk, the critical inner voice that whispered lies about my worthlessness and my inability to overcome challenges. With my therapist's guidance, I began to challenge those thoughts, questioning their validity and replacing them with more balanced and realistic ones. It was like learning a new language, one that allowed me to reframe my experiences and see myself and my world in a new light. Instead of focusing on my perceived failures, I began to celebrate my accomplishments, no matter how small. Instead of dwelling on the negative, I started to cultivate gratitude for the good things in my life. It wasn't about denying the challenges I had faced or pretending that everything was perfect. It was about shifting my perspective, choosing to focus on hope instead of despair, and believing in my own ability to create a brighter future. Therapy empowered me to become the author of my own story. For so long, I had allowed my past experiences and negative beliefs to dictate my present and shape my future. But through therapy, I discovered that I had the power to rewrite the narrative, to create a new story filled with hope, healing, and resilience. It wasn't about erasing the past or pretending that the pain hadn't happened. It was about acknowledging the challenges I had faced, honoring the lessons I had learned, and choosing to move forward with strength and determination. Therapy gave me the tools to transform my pain into purpose. It allowed me to see my struggles not as weaknesses, but as opportunities for growth and transformation. It empowered me to step into my own power, to embrace my authentic self, and to create a life that was truly mine. It was a journey of self-discovery, of healing, and of ultimately finding freedom from the chains of depression. It was in the therapist's office, through the power of vulnerability, honesty, and self-compassion, that I began to reclaim my life and step into the light of a brighter future. Therapy had given me the tools and insights, but I knew that true healing required action. I needed to make lasting changes in my life, to establish new habits that would support my mental well-being. One of the most powerful tools I discovered was the power of routine. For so long, my days had felt chaotic, unpredictable, ruled by the whims of my depression. Creating a daily routine brought a sense of structure and stability to my life, a sense of control amidst the chaos. I started small, focusing on building healthy habits one at a time. I made sure to wake up and go to bed at the same time each day, regulating my sleep cycle and promoting restful sleep. I incorporated regular meal times into my schedule, nourishing my body with healthy foods that provided sustained energy throughout the day. Beyond the basics, I carved out time for activities that brought me joy and nurtured my soul. Whether it was reading a book, listening to music, or spending time in nature, I made sure to prioritize activities that filled my cup and brought a sense of peace to my day. The power of routine wasn't about rigidity or perfection. It was about creating a framework that supported my mental and emotional well-being. It was about establishing healthy habits that became second nature, providing a sense of stability and grounding in my life. While establishing a healthy routine provided a solid foundation, I knew I needed to address the negative thought patterns that had plagued me for so long. Therapy had introduced me to the concept of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and I was eager to put these techniques into practice in my daily life. CBT taught me that our thoughts have incredible power over our feelings and behaviors. I learned to identify my own negative thought patterns, those automatic negative thoughts that would creep into my mind and sabotage my progress. I started to pay attention to the stories I was telling myself, those self-critical narratives that kept me feeling trapped and defeated. With practice, I became more adept at catching those negative thoughts before they could take root. I would challenge their validity, questioning their evidence and reframing them in a more balanced and realistic light. Instead of letting my thoughts control me, I learned to control my thoughts. It was a constant process, a daily battle against the ingrained negativity that had become so familiar. But with each passing day, I felt myself becoming stronger, more resilient, more capable of choosing positive, empowering thoughts over those that sought to drag me down. Exercise became an integral part of my recovery, not for a certain physique, but for the invigorating rush of energy. Yoga combined movement, breathwork, and mindfulness, calming my mind and easing tension. Exercise became stress relief, a way to channel energy and release emotions. Moving my body became an act of self-love, honoring the vessel that carried me through life. True healing required nurturing my inner world, fostering self-compassion and finding peace within. Mindfulness grounded me in the present, quieting my mind. Journaling became an outlet for self-expression and emotional processing. It was about creating space for stillness, self-reflection, and cultivating self-compassion. Depression isolated me, building walls of shame and secrecy. Opening up to trusted friends and family revealed the profound impact of human connection. Breaking free from depression meant rediscovering the power of human connection and shared experiences. Opening up about my struggles brought an outpouring of support. Support groups provided a safe space where I found my tribe, people who truly understood. Finding my tribe was a turning point, reminding me of the power of human connection. In support groups, I discovered the healing power of shared stories. Sharing my story released the burden of secrecy and embraced the healing power of vulnerability. It created space for others to share, fostering a ripple effect of healing and connection. Embracing community meant embracing vulnerability and true connection. Shared vulnerability crumbled walls of isolation, making me feel seen and understood. It taught me the profound power of human connection and the importance of showing up with compassion. My pain became a source of strength and a pathway to purpose. Connecting with others showed me my experiences could serve a greater purpose. Embracing my story helped me develop empathy, compassion, and a deep understanding of the human experience. Turning pain into power required vulnerability and courage. Sharing my story openly created space for others to heal. It was about transforming my wounds into wisdom and my pain into purpose. I used my voice to advocate for change and break down the stigma surrounding mental health. I became involved in awareness campaigns, sharing my story to normalize conversations about mental health. Speaking my truth aimed to create a more compassionate and understanding world. Finding purpose in my pain was about living authentically and making a positive impact. It meant prioritizing mental well-being, setting boundaries, and nurturing relationships. It was an ongoing journey of growth, healing, and self-discovery, living each day with intention and gratitude. This journey, this fight to break free from depression and find happiness, it's ongoing. Some days are brighter than others. Some days the darkness still whispers. But even in those moments, I remember how far I've come. I remember the strength I found within myself, the love that lifted me up, and the hope that guided me back to the light. If you're struggling right now, please know this: you are not alone. You are not broken. And healing is possible. It takes courage to reach out, to ask for help, to take that first step towards a brighter future. But you don't have to do it alone. There is no shame in seeking help. There is no shame in admitting you need support. In fact, it's the bravest thing you can do. It's a sign of strength, not weakness, to acknowledge your struggles and reach out for a lifeline. Your story doesn't end here. Your journey isn't over. There is still so much beauty, so much love, so much joy waiting for you. Take a deep breath, find your strength, and reach out. There are people who care, people who want to help, and people who believe in you. This conversation, this journey towards mental well-being, it doesn't end with this video. It's a movement, a wave of change, a commitment to breaking down stigma and creating a world where everyone feels supported and empowered to prioritize their mental health. If this video resonated with you, if my story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message. You never know who might be struggling in silence, who might be inspired by your courage to share, who might find hope in knowing they're not alone. Join our community, a space where we can continue this conversation, share our stories, offer support, and inspire one another on our journeys towards healing and wholeness. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and let's keep the conversation going. Remember, you are stronger than you think, more resilient than you know, and capable of creating a life filled with joy, purpose, and meaning. Keep believing, keep fighting, and never ever give up hope.